In the bustling heart of Obula, a village nestled beside the wide, shimmering expanse of the great rivers, lived a young woman named Nkiru. Nkiru was known for her quick wit and her even quicker tongue. She was clever, no doubt, but her words often flew out faster than her thoughts, sometimes leaving a sting in their wake. Her younger brother, Chike, was her opposite, gentle, thoughtful, and always careful with his speech. Their grandmother, Mama Ika, a woman whose eyes held the wisdom of 1,000 sunsets, often cautioned Nkiru. "My child," she would say, "words are like seeds. Once planted, they grow, and sometimes their harvest is bitter." Nkiru would nod, but her spirit was like a wild bird, always soaring, always eager to express itself. One dry season, a shadow fell upon Obula. The village's most precious resource, the great well, began to dry up. Its waters, usually abundant and cool, dwindled to a muddy trickle. The farmers worried for their crops, and the mothers for their children. The joy that usually bubbled through Obula began to recede, much like the well itself. The village elders, after much deliberation and consultation with the ancestors, declared that the spirit of the great well, known as Miri-oma, was displeased. They called for a special offering, a gesture of respect and humility, to be placed at the well's edge at sunrise. And for 3 days leading up to the offering, the entire village was to observe a period of profound silence. Not a single harsh word, not a whisper of gossip shall leave our lips, announced Chief Okoro, his voice somber. Only silence can cleanse the air and open the path for Miri-oma's blessings. Nkiru found this decree agonizing. Her mind buzzed with observations and opinions, and keeping them locked inside felt like holding back a mighty river. Chike, however, embraced the silence with ease, spending his time helping his mother prepare the special kola nuts for the offering. On the second day of silence, as Nkiru walked past the compound of Mrs. Obi, she overheard hushed whispers. Two women, clearly forgetting the chief's decree, were gossiping about a new cloth that Mrs. Obi had acquired, questioning its origins and hinting at unfair dealings. Nkiru's heart pounded. This was a clear violation. Her quick tongue was ready to burst forth with a sharp rebuke to expose their disrespect. But then she remembered Mama Ika's words. Words are like seeds. And Chike's calm demeanor flashed in her mind. She paused, took a deep breath, and walked on, her lips sealed, her mind warring with itself. Later that evening, the tension of the enforced silence grew heavy in the village. Nkiru sat by the dying embers of the cooking fire, still grappling with what she had heard. Chike, noticing her troubled expression, gently placed a hand on her arm. He didn't speak, but his eyes asked, "What troubles you, sister?" Nkiru, unable to break the silence with words, instead drew a pattern in the dust with her finger. Two small figures whispering, and then a larger, frowning face. Chike understood immediately. He looked towards the great well, then back at Nkiru, and slowly shook his head, a silent reminder of the decree. The next morning, the third day of silence, Nkiru woke with a renewed sense of purpose. The struggle from the previous day had taught her something profound. It was harder to hold back a sharp word than to utter it, but the peace that followed was far more satisfying. As the sun began to paint the sky with hues of orange and purple, the villagers gathered at the great well, each carrying a small offering. Chief Okoro led the ceremony, his movements slow and deliberate. The air was thick with unspoken reverence. Nkiru, kneeling beside Chike, felt a calm she had never known. She thought of the women gossiping, and instead of anger, she felt a quiet understanding. Perhaps their words were born of their own worries, their own struggles. Breaking the silence to scold them would only have added more noise, more discord to an already fragile situation. Chief Okoro finished his prayers, and as the first rays of the sun touched the bottom of the well, a miraculous thing happened. A gentle gurgling sound began, faint at first, then growing steadily stronger. Slowly, steadily, crystal clear water began to bubble up from the depths, filling the well, reflecting the morning sky like a mirror. Moral lessons from this tale of Nkiru: the power of words and the wisdom of silence. The central moral of Nkiru's story is about the immense power of our words. The tale uses the metaphor of words as seeds to illustrate that they have consequences, both good and bad. Nkiru learns that sometimes the most powerful and wise action is not to speak at all, but to hold one's tongue. The village's silence is a form of collective respect and purification, and the story shows that this silence, rather than a sharp rebuke, is what leads to the resolution of their problem: humility and self-control. Nkiru's initial struggle to remain silent highlights her lack of self-control and her pride in her own quick wit. Her journey teaches the importance of humility, recognizing that you don't always have to be right or have the last word. True strength, the story suggests, lies in the ability to control one's impulses and to choose peace over conflict. Collective harmony is essential. The tale emphasizes the idea that a community's well-being is dependent on the harmony of its members. The great well's spirit is displeased by the discord and gossip in the village. This teaches that individual actions, especially those that spread negativity, can have a collective impact. The solution is not a single person's effort, but a unified, collective act of reverence and silence, showing that community health requires everyone's participation. That's all for today's story. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories with lessons like this. Sweet dreams, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.